What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about all things loan options for international students and the most important things you need to consider before accepting that loan. Hey guys, welcome back. Before you consider taking a loan, please make sure you've explored all the funding and scholarship opportunities available to you and just treat this loan thing as a last resort. So I did an entire video on how you can get funding, how you can get really good funding for your grad school program. Check out my YouTube channel for that video. I'll also link it in the description box below and I'll link it up here. Be sure to check that video before you actually consider loan options. So there are many loan options available to international students, but I categorize them broadly into two groups: those requiring a cosigner and loans that don't require a cosigner. So a cosigner is basically someone that is a citizen or that has a green card that is willing to sort of be the guarantor for your loan, and this person is legally liable to pay those loans in case you default. So if you have a US cosigner willing to cosign your loan, there are two major benefits. First is you likely will get lower interest rates than you would have gotten by yourself if you didn't have a cosigner. And second is you have many more banks that are willing to give you that student loan than the really small pool you'd have had if you didn't have a cosigner. So I understand that many international students don't have these people that are willing to cosign their loan and take responsibility for their loans in case they default. So I'll be focusing in this video on the second part, the second kind of loans, which is loans that don't require a cosigner. So for loans that don't require a US cosigner, there's a couple of popular options for international students: Prodigy Finance, Empower, and Quorum Federal Credit Union. So in this video, I won't be going into a lot of detail about each of these options, but if you are interested in knowing about a specific option that I've mentioned, drop a comment in the comment section below and I would consider doing that video if there's a lot of interest in that. But pro tip, try to apply to at least two of these options just to be on a safe side, because first, application fee $0. Second is that sometimes people get rejected or they are not approved for the amount of loans that they want, so it's just better to have more than one option for your loan. So the first thing you want to consider when deciding whether or not to go with a specific loan option is the interest rate. And the interest rate usually has a fixed portion and a variable portion. The fixed portion is determined by the bank or institution you're borrowing from, and the variable portion is usually pegged at some index, either the LIBOR or the prime rate. So that's why you find that your interest is something like 6% plus LIBOR. That 6% is the fixed part of your interest rate. So I suggest you actually read a little more about these indices that the variable rate is pegged on and just know more. And I won't bore you with what prime rate or LIBOR is, but I'll drop links in the description box for you to go read more about prime rate, historical LIBOR rate, and all of that before you decide on whether or not to take that loan. Another thing you need to consider is the repayments. So you want to check what are the repayment terms. So some loans you have to start paying from like even while you're in school, from day one of getting the loan, you're required to start making some payments. You need to check if it's interest only that you need to pay while in school and then you start paying the principal after graduation, or you also want to check if you have to start paying interest and principal from the beginning. Those are very important things you need to check. You also need to check, is there a grace period? So some loan companies actually say you don't have to pay anything until 6 months after graduation. Some are 3 months after graduation. So you have to check if there's a grace period, if there's a repayment that needs to happen while you're in school. Those are very important information, especially because as an international student in the US, you can't work for more than 20 hours and you likely don't have enough money to start paying making huge loan repayments. Another thing you need to consider is the maximum loan offered. So some companies don't offer international students without a US cosigner more than maybe $50,000, some are $25,000. And if you're going to business school and you're thinking about $100,000 kind of loan, that might be difficult. So you want to go with a loan company that can offer you the amount that you need. Basically, they don't have any rule that says they can't offer more than this amount or they can't give up to $100,000. You just need to know that this company can actually offer you how much you want. Another thing you also want to consider are the fees. Like, you need to check with them what are the processing fees, what are the additional fees that will incur while taking this loan. That is very important because everything accumulates, and once you graduate, you're like, wow, these loans are a whole lot right now. You also want to pay attention to the discounts that the loan company offers. Basically, some of them say if you set up automatic payments, will give you an extra 0.25 discount from your interest rate, or some of them say if you end up after some years now have a cosigner, a US cosigner will reduce your rate by 1%. Just look out for those things because those discounts can actually make a lot of difference between one loan option and another. The last thing you need to also check is penalties. Are there any penalties for early payment? So some loan companies basically say if you start paying too early, you incur some other fees or penalties like that. So you just want to check for all those penalties that you likely incur if you do one thing or the other. That is also very important because every 1%, every 0.1% really matters, especially if we're talking about accumulation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you want me to focus on one of the loan options that I mentioned and go into more detail, drop a comment in the description box, and if there's a lot of interest, I'll do that video. If you also want to know why your loan application could get rejected, also drop a comment. If there's a lot of interest for that as well, I will do a video. Also, if you have more private questions you want to just ask privately, remember, I drop my email in the description box. Feel free to send me an email and I'll try to respond. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, and let's just continue this conversation on Instagram as well. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. I hope you stay safe.